My name is Cody Groom. Welcome to another episode of The Build. Today we have an E46 wagon. Definitely a unique build. I mean, you don't see this, and this is something BMW should have made, but didn't. And something like the E46 is such an iconic car. You know, people love the design, people love the engine, and people love wagons. So what's not to love with this thing? My name's Cody Groom. I spend my time showing you guys amazing cars and the stories behind them.
Damn!
It's about the people, places, and of course, cars. Welcome to The Build.
Yeah, in high school, back then, racing was popular, especially in Mira Mesa. They had races every weekend. And so my first car obviously was an Integra, which most of us had, the racers. I always had the aversion for more practical cars, so I wanted a four-door Integra. And then the first brand new car I ever bought was an E90 BMW, another four-door. And then when I moved back to San Diego from Japan, I bought an E60 in a manual, which is still hard to find. So I think the only coupe I've ever owned was a R33 GTR when I lived in Japan, because 11 years ago, you could never own one of those over here. So, it's like a once in a lifetime thing. So that was fun to drive. I've always loved the E46 M3 body style. 20 years old, and it still looks good. When my buddy Alex was going to build this wagon and do this conversion, I heard about it, and I told him, let me buy it. Gave him a deposit. Stipulation was that I wanted it bar approved. Unfortunately, he couldn't get to pass, so he gave me my money back and started advertising it. But then as I saw those ads, and everybody loves the car, I still love it. I couldn't let it go, so I still had to buy it. And then my cousin, Roy, he's a mechanic. I asked him, do you think we can do it? There's a pretty strict emissions policy they have, so you got to take it to the state referee, and they go through it with like a fine-tooth comb. And after like 5 trips to the bar referee, we finally get the pass. So it's a totally legal California swap, which there's a lot of swaps out there, but not all of them are legal in California.
All right, let's start with the wheels. So the wheels in this car are Apex Arc 8s. We have 18-inch wheels, and we have 9 and 9.5. And I believe there's a front spacer on here, but the fitment is good. I mean, that's one of the first things I notice on the car immediately is the fitment, where your stance is. And this car looks good. Studs instead of lug nuts, which is nice. So it's a nice looking wheel and tire setup for sure. These are Porsche Bbk Brakes. There's a lot of retrofit kits out there for Porsche BBKs. And having them in the front and the rear is definitely a nice touch.
I think the fenders were made by a shop here in San Diego, 2M. From that, I think they made a mold and they started selling fiberglass versions of it. I think the engine swap was done by one of the guys that worked at 2M as well. The interior, custom interior, was done by AT Upholstery. Originally, my friend Alex wanted to make this interior black, but as I was buying, I was like, you gotta make it red.
For the interior, it's a super clean setup, and I think it's very easy with cars to be over the top or too much going on, but this car is just clean. So we have a red interior. I'm not sure if it's a fox red. It looks very similar to that. But you'll notice, like, as you see this, we got white gauges, we got an Alcantara wheel, It is a manual, so for all you people out there, it's a manual. I know you guys love that. It just looks nice. There's not one thing in this interior, really looking at it, that I would complain about or that I would want to change. So this being an E46 M3 Touring, or you know, I'm just gonna call it a wagon, having an S54 just really completes it, right? Like if you're gonna do an M3 conversion, it has to have an S54. It can't just have M3 badges and all that and not have the actual S54 engine in it. You said it's a what replica?
Horsepower Freaks. They used to make a turbo kit for this car, but they're no longer around, so yeah, you can't really get one of these things, but it's just a replica. It was only like $100.
Do you have anything next for the engine?
I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I got to step it up and maybe some ITB stacks or something. That seemed maybe the more simpler thing to do. You know, I'd love to get a CSL intake, but that's just way too much money and a lot of headache to go through, but they look great.
It's a good looking engine though.
Yeah. The front bumper is actually a replica CSL bumper from Status Group, made for an E46 M3. I had this Hartka replica lip custom molded on and painted onto it because it doesn't actually fit, but QM did a great job at getting that to fit and painted. These are original M3 mirrors. I cut and modified the bases and everything to get these to fit. The fenders are also molded because the bumper is from an M3, but they're wider, so it doesn't match with the stock fender, so it is a little bit wider here. The M3 bumper had to be cut to get the hatch fit in there, so that was custom work done for that too. Pretty common do-it-yourself, cheap version of a BBK that E46 M3 owners do is, you know, getting brakes off of like a 996 or Boxster S Porsche. Those are what these are. You just have to get the CSL rotors. For the front, for these to fit, I mean, you had to put a little bit of a 5mm spacer for it to clear. So it's pretty close, but I think the fitment's great right there. I mean, BMW only made one prototypes. They should have produced them, I think, but just all the work that was done to get this car the way it is, I mean, so many people had their hands on this, it just won't ever look old. So I've had this car for about 2 years, and I've done lots of little things here and there to try to make it as perfect as I can, but you know, as an owner, you see all the little flaws, but I still love the car. People keep asking me if I'm going to sell it. It's one of those things that I don't think I'll ever get rid of this car. You know, I'm going to keep it as long as I can.